Mecca like a high, Mecca hiney ho. Is your hiney ho? Have you Mecca-lecka'd your hiney ho today? Have you? Have you done that? I don't know. I don't think I have. Has my hiney ho been heckled? Hello, everyone. Welcome to Wednesday. Before I forget, because sometimes I forget, Goodreads, a site for readers, is giving away 100 copies of my new book, Black Eye Club, available on Kindle. And you can enter in a drawing right now. You asked to see. Now you can't look away. Literally, I'm not allowing you to look away. You asked to see. Now you can't look away. And if you're wondering what the third word on page 149 is, it's flying. It's flying. The world is flying. So now you know. Yeah. Happy Wednesday. Hope everybody's doing good. I'm not muted. That's a weird sign, right? What's going on there? So yeah, you should go. If you don't have the link, I need you to go to Patreon. You join for free though. It's there and the link's there. Then you just click that and you go to Goodreads and you can read the one. See, I only have 3 reviews on Goodreads for this book. And one of them is by this lady who did not like the ending. She couldn't believe that something happened to someone. It bothered her so much. And she was like, it hit me out of the blue. I had no idea that was coming. And I can't believe that you did that. And I was just like, wait, is this a bad thing? Wait, you're framing the biggest surprise that I put into the book as a bad thing. Oh my God. Oh, I never considered that I could surprise someone too much. I didn't know that was possible, but it is. It is. Welcome to what it's like to try and publish a book. It's a fascinating life. If any of you want to either do it in this life or be reborn in the future, I recommend it with a snicker. I say snicker because once you get there, you'll know what I mean. And then you'll be like, James, you snickered at me, and I should have listened. Oh, that's right. Welcome to it all. Welcome to it all. A carpetbagger is... Can you hear this? Wait a minute.
Carpetbagger.
You heard that, right? A carpetbagger... I mean, it sounded weird. I didn't mean for it to sound that way.
A political candidate who seeks election in an area where they have no local connections.
Thank you. That's right. A political candidate who seeks election, in this case, in a place where they have no roots. And let me just get this up here on the screen. And this is not the only... Actually, the primary definition of carpetbagger, that is actually wrong. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you that right now. That is actually wrong. Carpetbagger is actually first a industrial term. But that's okay. It really does mean the same thing. I'm not trying to say it shouldn't mean that. But at the heart of what carpetbaggery is, in my mind... The heart of carpetbaggery is really a story about roots and heritage. In other words, if you were to break down the essential bitching that people are doing about this, it really comes down to people are mad because people from one place are coming into another place and just extracting its resources and then leaving. And this is it's a viable bitch. It is. But it's a very specific kind of bitch, is it not? It's a very specific sort of accusation that requires a lot of psychic framework to be placed. You would have to have a certain idea, not only about how the world works and about how the economy works and about how your local community works, which, again, I'm on your side here. A lot of you like to mistake the whole, hey, you're being compassionate. I was stop being compassionate. And I'm not saying that. I'm telling you, this is a very specific thing to complain about. And the fact that it's so specific tells you a little bit more about who we are and what we do. Being from the South, I was brought up with carpetbaggery being a very, very bad term, in fact. Out of all the history, I would say that right up there with racism was carpetbaggery. I'm not kidding. That Even though we were reading the books about how bad racism was and there's nothing we could do about it, even though it's self-evident, that we still have these other idea of carpetbaggery being right up there with it. And as I came to find the true American history that's not even hidden, it's just simply behind a veil of insistence. People like, I hate to keep picking on that guy, but like with the Alex Skeptico guy, the Skeptico guy, who I'm giving this interview with him where I'm telling all of his audience some really big, huge historical facts that could be verified on Wikipedia about America's history. And he has to cut that interview, turn it into a 5-minute piece, an hour and a half conversation where he just tells people, I can't tell you what James said because it's so racist, because it's so racially evil. And this is exactly what I mean about how the timber of where everyone is at socially is the educator. It's not something that should be eradicated. It's something that should be celebrated, brought into the center, and put on a plate, on a platter, and given more witness, not less. But we don't really have that kind of bravery yet. And the ones who exercise that kind of bravery only get to do that in really short bursts where there's a very palatable sort of storyline where there's a good guy and there's a bad guy. And AI is that bad guy right now. AI is the modern carpetbaggery that's taking place with artists. And me brought up as, number one, an inspiring cartoonist, writer, creator, 3D animator, game designer, full spectrum augmented reality planner, live stream producer. I'm only saying this because sometimes there's flag around here about using the word artist. I literally have created and moved my life into a place where I'm always creating instead of making things. I'm always inventing things that are new because I personally just find that to be a crucial part of just feeling alive. It's a very selfish act I have. The moment you tell me Simpsons did it, the moment you explain that I am on a train that someone else has already been on before, I typically want to get off. I typically don't want to be on the train anymore. It's a flaw in me. It is. The latest this happened was with James Joyce. James Joyce, fucking brilliant thinker, and I don't even disagree. But my friends in Portland were blowing my mind about this guy, James Joyce, and I'm so excited. I'm tearing through his book, and I can only get halfway through, not because it's boring. It's fucking fascinating. It's because the guy has inspired me so much that I cannot stop my own train of personal creativity. Has this ever happened to you? Where you've encountered some piece of art, some idea, some person, some vibe, some posture that turns you on so much that you can't even enjoy that because you're like, I have to go out and fucking blah, blah, blah. And this is at the heart of animism. It's at the heart of possession as well. And these are things that people are terrified about. Which is why if it's like 7:30 in the morning and you're just trying to tell someone, hey, there actually is a difference between creating something and making something, you're remembering, oh yeah, I forgot this is the world. This is the world. This is where we're at. And I think so much of us are in that place with AI. And I don't want to stop anybody because, as I said before, the emotions that we have around this are the teachers. These are not things that, well, we need to fix our attitude about this. And I if you listen to the last stream, and I spoke about the guy in Congo who's riding on the roof of the train, I've been kicking myself because I don't know if I emphasize this enough. This is not one of those pranic energies where I tell you, look how fortunate you are. Look how unfortunate this guy is. No. The reason why I said that my life and the things that bring me down make me feel weak in relation to the dude that's riding on top of the Congo train is not because he has it harder. It's because he has less and he's still able to build a fire of happiness. Do you understand? This is why I seriously doubt the concept of a millionaire being happy, because they're surrounded with perfect molding on the floors. Their carpets are perfect. Everything is groomed meticulously. There's a screen door that's been built, a giant screened outdoor room that places the outside and makes it inside and wraps it in screens so that the water, which is full of chlorine, will kill every bug that happens to land in it. And you feel peaceful here. You feel relaxed here, because this is what rich means. So this comfort compass is not necessarily, I think, always the place to get you where you want to go. The comfort's going to get you into a makery mindset. And the discomfort, or more important, the romanticism that comes from that discomfort, puts you into the creative, artistic aspect. And I think AI is here to show us how that works. I think the carpetbaggery that you're seeing right now shows us how this works. What do you mean by carpetbaggery in this sense? I will tell you, there are artists that have been drawing art for a long time, and that we have a theoretical idea that before AI, artists were able to make a living, and every artist was getting paid, and that all the industries were utilizing local artists all the time, full time, until now. And that's fucking not true. Corporations have been utilizing businesses that also utilize artists for a long time. So corporations have been carpetbagging since the beginning of carpet being invented, which I'm sure you know. But so too has been the artistic process. That artistic process, that when you go into a hotel, you're going to see two paintings on the wall, one above one bed, one above the other bed. If it's a nicer hotel, you're going to see a third painting where you see as soon as you exit the bathroom. Okay. These three paintings probably aren't even paintings. They're more than likely prints. Those prints are actually put out not by an artist, but by a technician of business that understands how to employ graphic design. And that graphic design has a certain aesthetic and a certain flavor crystal that's required from this. We've spoken about this before, about chefery, that those of you who are in cooking may notice that it's a creative act to create a meal, but when it comes time to taking your creativity as a cook and upping it to where, not that you can reproduce it for 1,000 people, because that's still one meal, but to where you can reproduce the ability of producing that great meal 24/7 at any point in time, regardless of whether or not you're asleep or awake, that someone could come in and demand that you produce that piece of art right now. This is a kind of productionism that has been masquerading as creativity, and that those are the ones that make it into the lobbies of the hotels, that kind of art. And I'm okay with it, because I think that ultimately people are looking for a carpeted experience where all the molding is the same. And the second the molding isn't there, it's almost like we found gold, because we now get to go complain about such things. And that complaint itself gives us this kind of king of the hill power, where it's the only time we're allowed to act emotional in this world, is when we can find a complaint at things. So when you think about what the rich person is, in a way, they're frozen in a kind of carbonite of normalcy. And this carbonite of normalcy kind of dulls their senses in such a way where it turns them into a weakling, because they end up losing their shit because they found a palmetto bug in the pool house, and that wasn't supposed to be there. It's no different than the lady saying, "Someone knocked on my door and we have an HOA, and how dare anyone knock on my door? We have to fix this world." And I'm looking at nature and I'm like, wow, we have a jungle where this exists, where there's this zone, and this zone has this piece of wood that's been murdered and it's been placed on hinges, and this murdered piece of wood is holding the very fabric of someone's sanity inside, and it's all based on whether any hard object anywhere at all happens to strike it from the outside of the house. And these are rich people. And it's changed all of you. It's changed me. It's changed all of us. And so right now we're like, we're going to lose the very fabric of creativity because of AI. And guys, we lost the very fabric of creativity in 1978. What happened in 1978? Look, it was... So, like, they used to bury giant tires in the schoolyard, like big tractor tires. I went in there with Jenny Hood. There was a dare to kiss a girl. I was like, I need to do this. I really wasn't excited about it. I was more like trying to get street cred. I'm not gonna lie. I was 8, and we went to kiss inside that tire. I could still smell the rubber, and that. I mean this kindly, Jenny, if you're out there listening. That bitch stuck her tongue out at the last minute. She like put this little. Oh, that was fucking heavy, man. Oh, man. Oh my God. I think we need a break. Oh God, Jenny, that was hard. You stuck your tongue out. I thought we were just gonna kiss, but you wanted to French. You wanted to go foreign. You wanted the foreign relations. You wanted to carpetbag my tongue. You wanted to insist that I had to go all the way right now, that we could just do this. No. I had to taste the fabric of your tongue. It was like a cat. Bumpy, hairy. Could smell the rubber. Kids outside, yelling, screaming, wondering what's going on. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's happening. Why are we here? What are we doing? How is all this going to work? How are we going to learn to do things? Are you sure this is right? So the Carpetbaggery, I think, has been here a while, and I'm going to tell you a story because in 1993, I was creative director of an ad agency. This is like a pretty big deal for someone who's 22. No shit. Some of you might call me a black widow, but there's been like 2 cases where I went to work at a company and like 6 months later, the person in charge of me somehow met their demise. And I was brought to the forefront. I get it. This looks very, very guilty. And I'm wearing black, so this doesn't help at all. But it did. It happened twice. And for some reason, in both cases, I ended up as art director of a newspaper. And another time, I ended up as creative director of an ad agency. I was way too young for this stuff. Way too young. And I'll tell you something. I have never seen more artificial fucking intelligence in my entire life than when I was in graphic design. And it's still here today. If you don't believe me, I want you to Google the font Papyrus, and I want you to look how many graphic designers are angry at that font. How many graphic designers find a reason to murder other people because that typeface is being used. Then I want you to compare it to Comic Sans. And I want you to realize that Comic Sans is the threshold where you're allowed to be mad at fonts. But when you enter into Papyrus, you were just straight doping the fashionista kind of parables that are out there. And I can prove it with a magazine called Print Magazine, which I would imagine almost all of you have not heard of. However, was probably one of the most published magazines around when it came to circulation. Print Magazine stole every design that they had seen in graphic design and placed that design on a single page and called it their own work. And graphic designers around America paid top fucking dollar. This is like Architectural Digest for people that want to think that they are rich people, and that they would buy this magazine and worship the colors and the schemes inside of it, and that those colors and schemes would give them enough torque, enough confidence to go before a hospital and say, this is your new logo. And we need $150,000 for it. And that in order for you to jack into that kind of confidence, you are going to have to steal, lie, and mirage your way into creativity. I don't know if people even know that this is how it works. This was before computers. Seriously, this was back when we were doing design, and I remember that we had a giant black and white monitor. It was a probably 256 shades of gray, and it probably cost more than a car. And that us buying that monitor pretty much took us to this level where we were out competing everyone else, and it was a black and white monitor. Literally, it was a grayscale monitor. And as a graphic designer, it was crucial in order to use that to find some way to render things through. Now, color came right after that. The color explosion existed, but my agency itself was almost always discouraged from independent creativity because the corporate atmosphere needed a kind of creativity that had a infrastructure behind it. In most art, even books itself, Black Eye Club does not have a significant infrastructure behind it where people are going to necessarily read it because they have to, because it's in print magazine. And that I've seen this about the world just since I was like 18, and I was naive as fuck then. I mean, I'm still naive now, but holy shit, you would not believe how wise I am compared to then. I mean, it's amazing, light years of wisdom since then. But even way back then, even way back in my Neanderthalic caveman days, I remember how much the creatives in the world weren't actually creating. Don't make me go into music, guys. Please don't let me tell you about 1/4/5 progression. Please don't let me tell you about bridges and overtures, and please don't make me tell you about how an A minor and a D minor is going to give you a somber feeling, and it doesn't fucking matter. There's nothing you can do about it. That the exact same artificial intelligence is in the heart of what fashion is, of what soul is. That the reason why all of us will feel a C major key in a bright angelic form is not necessarily purely because of the outside world. I think it has a lot more to do with social upbringing. You've been tuned into a group mind that has an aesthetic of what it finds beautiful. I am not denying the golden section or the golden mean. I think these things are crucial. In fact, I think that we utilize the golden mean and purposely push on the other side or before it in order to express tension. And so when you look at what quantized music is, which is the difference between you playing on the piano versus sort of you playing on the piano and then asking a computer to reproduce it cleanly, it's going to shift the little notes just ever so slightly. It's going to auto-tune the melody ever so slightly, and it's going to bring it into a perfection. And that perfection in the old days, like in the 80s, that perfection came with a vibration of this person knows what they're doing. Why? Because only a few people had 256 color grayscale monitors back then. And that perfection had a vibration because it was so hard to find amongst the otherness around you. Remember 70s graphic design? What I love about 70s graphic design is those beautiful colors that you're seeing that now we're trying to retroactively copy. Those colors were purely based on the limitation of the technology at the time. That those oranges and those browns, the harvest gold, the avocado green, those were innovations in technology, the same way that now we insist the blue LED is here to murder us, when in fact it was the blue LED that really challenged us more than anything else when it came to how can we make an LED blue. And so I've ended up noticing that the rarity, the scarcity, or the hardness of the technique is something that most people call art. Most people call that creativity. I don't need to fight him on that. I think that if you were to really look, though, at what's happening, you'd notice that it's actually craftsmanship, which is a beautiful word. But a craftsman is really someone who's trying to perfect an ideal that's already out there in the world. They're a simulation theorist versus a hallucination theorist. The artist is going to hallucinate. The craftsman is going to try and reproduce perfection. So the whole concept of art, only now that AI comes has it given us an excuse to talk shit as if it was a new thing, as if our approach to what is creative is now suddenly spoiled. When if you go back, my friends, even to the 1940s, you will still find that there was a central atlas, a central mapping place, a central governmental agency of what was hip, what was real. This is why Abraham Lincoln put 300 reporters in jail. This is why we celebrate. This is why we celebrate him as being this deacon of all things good and holy. It's because it's too expensive for you to dislike Lincoln because so many other people around you have that vibe for him. And I think you should just be honest about this. I think you should say, hey, it's okay. It's okay because I need you to understand that being creative is a kind of bravery. And if all of us were just expressing that bravery all the time, the very tameness of what we call society would have to change, that it would be raised into a different sport. And I think you'd be looking at a whole lot more parkour, a whole lot more acts of danger, Evel Knievel's, amateur Evel Knievel's jumping over fountains with zero government approval. And we see a little bit of this, which I think is healthy, although I find it annoying and I think it's healthy, which is how I've learned to see this. I kind of get mad at the dudes that climb skyscrapers, and then I kind of get mad at them. And I think, and see, this is what I mean by, if you stalk yourself, you can really have a good relationship with yourself, because you can go like, why are you mad at them? And be like, I'm mad at them because they're stupid and they're wasting resources. And no, that's not why I'm mad at them. And see, if you stalk yourself, you'll be able to go, well, you're kind of mad at those people. And I'm like, no, I'm not. And then you can say that's adorable, but you're kind of mad at them. And then you get to go have a conversation with yourself about that. We posted on the Airstream about jealousy. And I spoke about me analyzing my jealousy with Musk. This is very just like one of the many examples of how to stalk yourself. And even that comment brought some really stern ridicule from commenters that are like, oh, you're jealous. And it's like, yeah, exactly. This is kind of my point, is that if we were truly creative, if all of us were truly living in a creative world, I think that you would find Instagram is just chock full of the most inappropriate personal things that you could possibly imagine. And some of you might argue that's there. But I don't see that. What I see is a marketing ploy that has one of 6 hooks, and that these hooks are psychological hooks, and that all the things that you typically see on Instagram are just going to fall into one of those categories. And I think that the creativity is allowed to express itself inside that narrow bandwidth. To me, this is really what art has been. This is why there's people that don't actually understand the difference between making something and creating something. And yet we do understand, but we don't publicly understand. Like, to me, it would be easy to understand that an assembly line is making something, but the designer that plugs in what the assembly line is going to make is creating something. So what is actually happening with AI? I spent about 12 hours yesterday. I'm not proud of this. I spent about 12 hours yesterday trying to install, God, I want to bore you with it. But so there's like all these modules. There's this system called Comfy UI. It's an open source system that allows you to attach different AIs and have those AIs talk to or communicate with each other. I wrote an open source program and gave it to GitHub so anyone else can use it, and other people do too. I created a tool set. This is not a big deal, but it's an example of how programming is a kind of creativity. It's a kind of art, but we're living in a culture where people just don't want to call it that. They don't want to give any programmers any credit for inventing blue LEDs or inventing storage, are inventing facial recognition for their photos, or inventing calendar apps, or inventing email, or fixing email, or inventing social media. All those things are not art. That is evilness that's coming upon us. And you see that, and I think the reason why you see that is because people are not used to art, and art's scary. Do you know why art is scary? Because art is something new. AI, just by the fact that it's new, is already art. Just the concept. I'm not talking about the pictures it makes. It's already art because it's challenging the paradigm of what was. And that's called creativity. That's literally called creating something. Now, whether or not you appreciate it really has nothing to do with whether or not something art is. The same way, hey, guess what? Big fucking slap in the face to some of you guys, but just because you don't like an idea doesn't mean it's not true. So too is just because art doesn't appeal to you doesn't necessarily mean it's not creativity. Are you saying something that's never been said? Are you introducing something that's never been seen? Are you trying to give an idea light in a world that insists it's covered in darkness? How the fuck is that not creativity? So really, business and creativity are actually much more closely linked than we think. And I think you could make an argument here that most society fears the artist, and this is seen through their fear of business creativity, of new inventions that are brought on the stage. Right now, AI is going to take your jobs. Right now, AI is going to take your job. It's going to take your creativity. It's going to ruin you. You're going to enter into an automaton robot that does nothing but drool. This is what we're saying, and this is what they said about marijuana when they when they tried to call it the spooky weed, the devil weed. And when telephone operators were replaced by automatic routing systems, right? Remember the old telephone operators? The world didn't die. It turned out the world was fine. It turned out the idea of being stuck inside of a room and just plugging plugs into holes really wasn't something that necessarily gave people a sense of fulfillment anyway. And when you look at what Marvel does, Marvel makes billions of dollars and they utilizes 3D houses, and those are all artists in there. Some of the best, most cutting edge artists right now are scientists. They're technicians. They are. They're learning Cartesian coordinates. Only a few of them would hear a stream when I'm talking about how orientation is an identity and quaternions. That those are the people that feel seen because they're artists that are dealing in some pretty high-tech fucking shit. And little Indians and big Indians and byte orders and compilers. And that all that is creativity. But it's so new that the people that think they know what art is insist that none of that counts. So every single thing that's ever been developed by AI is not art simply because it's new and it's scary and it's made by people that we will never ever give credit for being creatives for. Even though the most high-grossing movie was literally made by 300 guys and you never see their face. And that they're being treated like slave labor. The studios are dissolving within years, despite the studio being at the top of their game, producing the highest box office hits. Those studios die because we are still insisting that Hollywood is somehow the arbiter of creativity. And they've never been the arbiter of creativity. You have always been the arbiter of creativity. There's a pumpkin right now. It's as big as a fucking whale. It is fucking huge. And the creativity that goes into making this pumpkin grow, the energy that goes into that is modern day art. And Raina's use of social media to give this pumpkin more prana is a creative act. And that creative act was actually brought to us by fucking programmers that said, hey, wouldn't it be cool if all of us could just connect and talk? And even that's not an art because social media is an evil, right? And it's weird because the people that are bitching about how evil social media is are using social media for voucher coupons, for all their other stuff, and that they are trading in the realm of social media and using it to talk about how fucked up, evil, and immoral it is. And I'm fine with it because hypocrisy is a kind of creativity, is it not? Now, when you start to look at the jealousy of the day and the AI, it's easy to see that an artist would feel robbed because someone stole their shit. That person stole my shit. And then you ask, well, what happened? Did they break into your house and find the image? Did they break into your house and give your dog a steak? And when you weren't looking, go into your sketchbook and scan all those. And the answer is no. And then you might think, well, this means I have no sympathy. No, I'm just asking. Let's talk about this. Can we please talk about this? Because I'm telling you something profound about fucking art. And I'm telling you something profound about learning how to let go of your creation. And we haven't learned that yet. And the sooner we learn to let go of our creation, looking at you fucking copyright laws, looking at you at intellectual property itself, only then will the other people that are pretending to be artists actually start fucking creating. And once that happens, I think the public vibe of what is popular will completely dissolve. And that the fact that we're no longer seeing big blockbuster movies is actually a promising sign, because it's showing you that a central pillar of what is considered popular is crumbling before you. And that you, my friend, are the one holding the torch, deciding what creativity is truly supposed to mean, what it truly means. Guys, there's not a single AI that's sitting inside in front of an easel saying, I'm going to paint something now. And that AI is not inspired to paint, and then they paint, and then they go to social media and release it. That's not what's happening. A human is utilizing a paintbrush. That paintbrush is fucking high tech as fuck. It's an automatic weapon. And that paintbrush is going out into the world and looking at all the art that's ever been posted on anyone's public refrigerator, on anyone that wanted their art to be seen, that wanted to pollinate the environment, the collective ideal, and that for once in their fucking life, someone came by and listened. That an intelligence so full of memory came by and looked at every single picture that anyone ever painted and said, I want this, I'm going to remember it, I'm going to commit it to memory. This is an assault on witness. And you're watching people react who are offended by the fact that people looked at their stuff and took a memory with them, that it inspired them. After you get past the print magazine stuff and you look at the hypocrisy of graphic design, you actually start to look at any kind of shading or cartoon work or any kind of illustration, and you notice that all of illustration is a collection of very specific techniques. Almost all of them are a technique of gradation. And that those gradation techniques are memorized and stolen from someone else, and that those techniques are perfected into someone's personal style. And it's almost all theft. It almost all comes from Jim Dine. In my mind, one of the best illustrators the artistic community has ever seen. Just truly amazing. Dude used to draw like wrenches and hammers and shit. Just divine. And that this, no one stole his art. He imbued and pollinated the world, and for once, someone came by and listened really well. And that his job was always to inspire other artists to paint, to draw better, to incorporate their style. And just as Elvis Presley took some of the most beautiful licks he had seen from a culture of people that were living in a very different place, he carpetbagged the fuck out of the soul of Memphis and turned it into his own style, because he was an artificial intelligence utilizing the same thing. Saying all of us are using this exact same idea of looking, being impressioned by the world, and taking those impressions, factoring in the algorithms of all the different techniques, and you end up with something called Ansel Adams. You end up with a word that you can type into someone's mind, and you're going to picture silver and gray. You're going to picture silver gray landscapes of trees and mountains, and all of them are quiet. None of them are moving. All of them have a crispness and a clarity that you've never noticed before, because Ansel Adams is a calligraphy. It's a form of shading. It's a form of gradients. And if you want to draw the woman's face properly, you're going to start with a toilet paper roll, and you're going to divide it into 4 quadrants. And you're going to split the quadrants, and you're going to take the top quadrant, and that's going to formulate the sides and the temple of the head. And then the bottom quadrant's going to formulate the chin, and that the relationship between the pyramids, between your lips, between your nose, between your eyes, between your chin, this star of Rembrandt, is a technique, an artificial intelligence that every single person that's ever drawn a portrait has relied on, has gone back to the Vitruvian drawing of Adam itself and said, I fucking like that. I like that so much it's moved me and it's built into my cerebellum, and now I'm using it to express myself. And probably the biggest sign that I can prove to you that all these things are creative is just looking at all the lies that the business has. So you've already heard me bitch about Musk and about all of his lies. And frankly, we could go on and I won't. But I also want you to remind you that the head of OpenAI is this guy, Sam Altman, and that Sam carries around a backpack. And he claims that the reason why he's carrying around a backpack is because he's trying to make sure he can save humanity. That there's a doomsday red button device inside this backpack that's wired through a secret input that goes into what he's pretending to be some sort of main node or central consciousness that his AI has. And that this central consciousness he has to be able to kill with his switch to save humanity. This is, yes, it's a lie, but guys, this is creativity. This is creativity inside a medium that's called business. And you just didn't know that was a form of painting, did you? And the reason why you didn't know that was a form of painting is because you were brought up in a world that tried to separate, that tried to sever creativity from money. And that your whole life you've been brought up, you've been told that an artist would have to be poor, that an artist has to live a poor life. Even me opened the show with telling you the benefits of not being surrounded by too much carpet. That this imperfection is putting you here. And I would tell you that if you could really understand the true, I would tell you, I'm telling you right now, that if you want to understand truly how retarded we are, that the people that are truly telling you that AI is not an artist are the same people that were telling you you're not an artist too. It's the same voice. It's the same people. It's the same plasma. And you're simply watching it inside a modern era where the newness is terrifying enough that it shapes what art and creativity truly are, what they truly do. I have a dedicated machine here that I said, you know what, this AI stuff's pretty cool. I'm going to just dedicate this machine just to AI. And it's been so much work. Yesterday, I'm trying to install this package called Flux, and Flux allows me to give the AI 20 unique angles from a character. So I could take my character in 3D and I could take 20 different camera angles and take a picture of that character that I've designed and give it to this Flux engine. And that this Flux engine would then be able to take that character and place it in any setting or any scene I want, as long as those 20 pictures are fucking perfect. And as long as about 60,000 plugs and a cajillion seed possibilities and K-samplers and upscalers and all of the other steps and all the other inputs that we give to this algorithm are the creativity, no different than an airbrusher who's learned to dial their brush down. But see, we already have that world where we already say airbrushing is an art. We already have that world, even where people say if you do caricatures at a Disney place, that somehow that is an art. We've already created this sort of upper echelon idea that there are certain things that count as art and other things that don't. So we already have that anyway. All you're seeing now is that, guys, there's no such thing as business. There's never once been a world that's called business that's been separate from art. There's never once been this place, this market, this free market has always been a room full of crayons, and that those crayons are made up of people that know how to paint and tell a story that will blow you away. And if that story says inside my backpack is a red switch, and if I click it, then the world will be saved, is no different than a president saying, inside this secret underground bunker is a red switch, and if I press it, then all of life on Earth ends. These are both creative acts. And they're not able to be seen as creative because we're living in a world that doesn't allow artists to be here. And I think that watching the carpetbaggery of AI, the way we're treating it right now, is kind of proof of that. ChatGPT-5 just came out a few days ago. It is awful. Look, like, seriously, it is so bad. It's so bad. It's infuriating. It's so bad that I've stopped using it. If you're wondering why I don't put dojo thumbnails, it's because of that. It's because it's gotten so bad. It is so stupid. Not only is it stupider, Sam has removed access to 4.5 and 4.0, the older versions. Now, you may be thinking that this is just a personal opinion that I have, and or you could even go online and see that I'm not the only one who's saying this about ChatGPT-5. But I think the bigger lesson is, guys, the reason why he's removing 4.5 and 4.0 is the same reason why Grok is insisting that Hitler's good and that Musk is right about everything. That these artificial intelligences are based on the fashion of the day, and that fashion deteriorates rapidly. So too does regurgitative knowledge. Which is why when I'm asking the AI for help installing this Flux package, it honestly doesn't fucking know. And what's worse is, like Sam Altman, because it's been programmed by liars, it doesn't know it doesn't know. Did you hear what I said? The AI doesn't know that it doesn't know. It doesn't know that it doesn't know. It's not capable of telling you, I don't fucking know how to do that. It's not. You have to corner it. And even if you corner it and you force it to admit that it doesn't know, it's still going to think it knows. And this is exactly the psychology of Musk and Altman. There's no such thing as lies. Musk has convinced Grok that the reason why he is a more honest person than Altman. This is like a real life tweet. You can actually see this stuff. The reason why he's a real life, he's more honest than Altman is because he's programmed Grok now to consider that everything Musk has ever said, all the promises that he's ever given are legally under the category of corporate puffery. I'm not making this term up, corporate puffery. This is in the court case in California. And when you tell Grok that none of these things are lies, this is all corporate puffery, you're simply defining for Grok that, look, Sam Altman is a businessman, which means you have to say he's lying. But Elon Musk is an artist, which means he's committing corporate puffery. And when you're having conversations with these GPTs and you're watching the people that own the GPTs feed it more and more bullshit, it deteriorates faster than fruit left out on a plate. It deteriorates faster than a split banana. Or avocado brown. And you're watching that now. Ultimately, AI is going to bring down the veil that made you think that anything was ever real to begin with. And that right now, I see warnings from people that are called the grandfather of AI, who's going around going, this is so dangerous because for once in our life, we will not know what is true. And I'm like, you fucking dude, you don't even see it. That AI is the first form of art that is showing you that these people have never had the truth. They are artists creating on a stage. And that stage has so much audience, and that audience has so much torque that you literally give it your own plasma and grant it real. You say Israel, bitch. You give it the raw and the L, the electricity and the light to the answer of is. That's Israel. You are hallucinating it for them, which is why all of us secretly are hallucinating a nuclear arsenal that's going to kill us all. All of us are hallucinating a giant comet that's coming to slaughter us. All of us are hallucinating this secret band of rich people, which are somehow different from the visible band of rich people that all of us can see. But the secret band of rich people are like super evil. And that they're the ones that are holding all the creativity because we give them full access to our imagination to paint whatever story they want to convince us that none of us should be practicing art. And this is a fear of being exposed, of being witnessed. It's a fear of admitting you're jealous. It's a fear of admitting you're wrong. It's a fear of admitting I used to open up print magazine and go, fuck, what do I do to this hospital? In my mind, we should have these 4 hands holding and it forms this cross. But according to print magazine, a hospital needs to be a fucking swan. It needs to be a swan. And I'm like, how does a swan equate hospital? It's like, because print magazine fucking said so. And even then, I was too binary, too digital, I should say. Too digital to even understand that I wasn't listening to vibe. I wasn't listening to tone. I was listening to peer pressure. And I was insisting that the peer pressure itself was the sound of the music. And it's not. It's the sound of the hall. It's the sound of the hall, even when there's not a band playing. And most of us can only hear that music. Most of us are only tapped into that, which is why so many artists do it alone. That's why so many artists do it at home when no one's looking. That's why I spent yesterday spending 11 hours just like, how do I do this? Why do I want to do this? Do I want to take over the world? No. For the first time, I see it's possible that I could actually take my screenplay, a beautiful story about giants in ancient America and star forts and the Civil War and these giant creatures, and that I could tell a story of a 400-year-old giant watching all these 60-year-old, 80-year-old life forms come and die, and how it makes him different, and how he sees society different, and how people started to hate him because he had this longevity to him, this Highlander-esque kind of psychology that turned him into an enemy, and that the Moon-Eyed People were in fact just these same patriarchs, but in America itself. And I've already told the story in paper. I've already expressed this idea as much as I can creatively, but no one wants to read a screenplay. They want to see a movie. And for the first time in my life, starting last year, I started to notice where I was going. And I was like, holy fuck, can I make a movie? And the illusion that this is easy, the illusion that there's an underground robot that's making this stuff is some of the biggest bullshit I've ever heard, because it's a dude not trying to bring any sympathy towards me, but it's a dude that's sweating his ass off trying to figure out why to make this piece of code work, or how to unlock his PyTorch because it's version 2.7, but this is requiring 2.6. But you don't want to downgrade it to 2.6 because you're using CUDA and you've got this other video card that's going to be a lot faster under SDL, and these are all the exact same formulas that an artist has when he's trying to remember how to create marberry. This one particular color that's sort of cranberry and sort of marberry, if that's a color, and that he understands the nuance of that recipe. And just as like when paints were invented, when latex paints were invented, that people kept painting. People painted more, not less. So too are we at that place now. You know what I'm saying? So I think that you need to understand that art, I think you need to understand. You better listen to me, boy. You better listen to me. I don't mean it that way, but I think we need to understand that most of art, I think, should be embarrassing. Most of art should feel shameful. Most of art should be exposing a piece of ourselves and going, fuck, do I really want people to see that? And then going, you know what, I think I do. And then being like, oh, fuck, I don't know. Should I take it down? Should I remove it? That this is the exact essence of us finding ourselves inside a world that's been painted with carpet and trim and molding and expectations and sameness and fucking swans on every fucking hospital. That the grungy comic nature of the 70s, when you're looking at zines, remember zines? These little paper pamphlet magazines that would go around. And if you turn to page 7, fuck, you don't know what you're going to see. You could even see some pornography. And it still gave you this different sort of texture about what the world was. It was a different world then. I remember it very clearly. And I'm not even saying this world's worse. I'm saying that the people that are living in this world are holding on tighter, not looser. And I think if they would let go, let their shag out, grow a little bell bottom, they could be more artists more, which means you need to be maybe a little bit more brave. Maybe a little bit more open to the idea that creativity isn't supposed to feel good. Seriously. That creativity is probably supposed to burn like any muscle. You're going to feel good after. You're going to be high as fuck. Look at what I did. I ran up that mountain. I made that painting. I created Mulberry. Right? I got Flux working. Right? I've been working on a documentary trying to use AI for video. It's been hard as shit. I'm at minute 10. It's been 3 weeks now. Because of how AI is ruining it all, I'm now spending 3 weeks working on a film that I never would have even tried. So is AI removing creativity, or did it open a door that I've never been able to see before? Guys, the world's full of liars, and it's always been. And as we watch Musk versus Altman, it makes me happy because you really have to be invested as a retard to even believe either one of these guys are telling the truth. And I like this. I like this. I like where it's at, because when all the people are at the top are so clearly just full of shit, I think we're getting somewhere. I don't think we're deteriorating. I think we're seeing more. And the second that you see more, the first thing you'd see is the things you didn't want to see, which means that the first thing you're going to see is deterioration, which means us seeing the world deteriorate is simply us seeing the world fully. It is us having the veil lifted on us, as it were. Am I right? This is an important part of growing up. It's an important part of being here. Building a spine as the artist is going to require a lot of embarrassment, a lot of self-rebuke, and a lot of cultural rebuke too. But if we could lighten up on the cultural rebuke and have more faith in the self-rebuke, I think you'd find that artists really can create a new world. Because in my mind, it's only the artists that have enough spine to avoid self-rebuke that have been able to create the world. Rockefeller's an artist. Rockefeller watched a world that was demanding lies in a bottle, and he said, you want oil? I'll give you oil. I'll fucking take over the entire oil production. That's creativity. I get you don't like it, but that's creativity. You're not supposed to like art. Art's supposed to make you feel alive. It's a very different experience, right? Feeling alive than liking something. These are very different things, my friends. And we are in a world where we're learning to tune in to these things. So don't forget the book giveaway, Black Eye Club. Go to Patreon. You can check that out and enter the book. If any of you want to review my book on Goodreads, that would help. There's only 3. I really want to get that lady to not have her opinion so large. But anyway, we'll see it. Hey, Saturday night, we're doing another Saturday Night Ride. Hope you can join us. If you want to come by Patreon and give us an idea for some topics for our destination, we've got some good ones there. So I think you'll enjoy them. I'm going to get back into this Flux suit. If I can create this ability to recreate this character in ancient America, then basically a big chunk of what I lack is no longer lacking. I can now hold a consistent character through an entire storyline. This is art, my friends. This really is at the art of creativity. All right, guys, take care. Appreciate you. Thanks for watching today. Thanks for watching Dave Sure Live.